every written offer must be presented to the seller by the listing agent till the day of the closing.
I just want to make you aware that I want all the offers to be presented to me. If you know more, that's the best way. An educated consumer is the best customer. So the more you know, the better you are for us. So
your contract, the way it was agreed to between the two attorneys, eventually drives the transaction.
100%.
So never close on a home without insurance on the home.
yes.
Right.
Always have insurance, because God forbid things go wrong. They will go wrong, and you were caught without insurance, and sometimes they go wrong when there is no insurance.
That's right.
Welcome to Real Estate on Track on ITV Gold, airing every Friday at 8 p.m. with a Sunday repeat at 8 p.m. And of course, trust the seasoned expertise of On Track Realty, a name we all have relied on since 1994. And for any real estate questions, you can reach out to them at 732-494-2211. And once again, let's welcome back the dynamic brother-sister duo, that is Sanjeev Aneja ji and of course Alka Aneja. And first of all, before I do your introduction, I just wanted to say wish you a very, very happy birthday once again. Of course,
Thank you
belated
so
happy
much.
birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate
And
that.
her birthday is like for 2 months or 3 months it's getting celebrated.
Yeah. No, 6
Don't be
months later.
jealous.
6
Don't be
months later.
jealous.
6 months later too.
6 months?
No.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
The funny part is she enjoys it.
yeah.
And like we were talking, I don't want any wishes at all. I'm okay without anybody wishing me.
I like
Absolutely
my
none
wishes, and
whatsoever.
I'm blessed. So.
Perfect. So, so today I just wanted to talk about, we always talk about transaction. This happened, this transaction went. So do all the transactions happen?
You mean do all the transactions close if they start,
Yes.
right? So I will let Alka handle part of it, but I want to bring up something, Pia, to continue with the last show. So you had asked about some legalities. One of the legalities we didn't talk about, which is critical, is we talked about it, but not really as much, is the fiduciary duty. We are representing clients. So a seller, if we are representing the seller, we are representing the seller. If we are working for the buyer, we are working for the buyer as the fiduciary. And then we are working for seller and buyer, where we are neutral to both, but still working for both, representing them both. So they are clients, not customers. The goal about a fiduciary is to make sure you're fully representing your client and putting the best interest in there. And the reason I wanted to bring this up today is there's a law that says, Real Estate Commission law rule, that says that when you have a written offer on your listing, so let's say I'm representing you, you're selling your home, I'm representing you, or we are representing you, and another agent sends an offer in writing. By law, your agent must present that offer to you. The agent has absolutely zero right to tell the other agent that they will not present the offer. How high it is, how low it is none of the agent's job.
Okay.
They must present every written offer to the seller. Secondly, in today's market, there is this thing called best and final. Best and final means we have multiple offers. You make an offer to us by so-and-so date. So an offer is made by 20 agents, and all of a sudden one offer is accepted. But one of the agents' client says, I want to up my offer, and here's my other written offer. The listing agent must not tell the agent that, oh, I'm not going to present this to my seller. Whether the seller entertains that offer or not is different. But every written offer must be presented to the seller by the listing agent till the day of the closing. So people don't understand this. Day of the closing means the deal is already under contract, which means both sides are bound by each other.
Right.
But the Real Estate Commission rule says you must present every written offer till the closing. So if any of us does not understand that simple rule, we have a problem. But as a seller, you don't know that. You're selling your home. Make sure when you hire your agent, tell them, follow the Real Estate Commission rules, present every offer to me. Don't give them that blanket thing that don't present offers to me. Now, if you said tell your agent if you tell your agent not to present offers, let's say your home is listed for 500,000 and you have offers over 500,000, many of them, and somebody wants to make an offer of 450. That you can give your agent in writing an instruction saying, don't present any offer to me below 450. Now, if you do that to your agent, then your agent must comply with it. But on his or her own, the agent must not make that decision. So I wanted to bring that up in the legality part. It's critical. A consumer doesn't understand the laws.
Right.
Problem is many agents are taking on their own and not presenting the offers to the seller. And absolutely not acceptable. It's a penalty. Agents will lose their license for it. And please don't hire somebody who will not present all the offers to you.
And the reason you should know that as a layperson is that you can ask your agent that question that, when you're interviewing, that I just want to make you aware that I want all the offers to be presented to me. If you know more, that's the best way. An educated consumer is the best customer. So the more you know, the better you are for us. So he's talking about what the responsibility of an agent is, but how that relates to you is that gives you knowledge to say, how do I want my realtor to handle it for me?
Yeah. So don't give that blanket. See the offer and then tell the agent seen and rejected. It's okay. But don't give that authority to your agent, no matter who the agent is, including us, saying don't present the offer. No, let us present every offer, and don't get mad at your agent if he presents an offer or she presents an offer that is low. Because sometimes if that offer is written low, then they have to present that to you also. So it's okay. A good agent will guide you. But by law, till the closing date, they must present the offer.
That's why they.
So now let's go to your question. Does every transaction close?
So the transactions or any sort of in life, in anything, where you have any sort of transactions that'll happen, it's a funnel, right? So you'll put things in your funnel and there's always ways that it can come out of the funnel. So in our contracts, there are 3 outs that every buyer or seller has. The first out is attorney review. Means any transaction can be canceled during attorney review. So if, let's say there's multiple offers and the seller gets, in this particular example of 500, the seller gets 550 offer. They accept that. They go into attorney review. They get another offer of 565. And with all the terms and whatever, they want to take the 565 offer. During the attorney review, you can cancel that. The buyer can also cancel that if they find another home. That's your first out.
Right.
Both people have that out.
What is attorney review? Attorney review is law in New Jersey. Every attorney every contract has that option of a 3-day attorney review, which means an attorney can reject an accepted offer for any reason whatsoever at all.
Your second out is your home inspection. Now, let's say you have a home inspection and there's a whole bunch of things that are not right with the home. And you must, and we say it again, we've said it before, we'll say it again, make sure you do a thorough home inspection. Make sure you're getting an inspector that's with the word of mouth, right? That actually will do a good job for you. But let's say the big things come up and you decide not to proceed with that, with that purchase, the buyer can back out. And if the seller thinks that the buyer is unreasonable with their request, because some buyers can be unreasonable, the seller can back out. So that's your second out in a transaction.
Right. So that back out, like Alka said, gives the buyer the first option and the second, the seller, the counter offer option. Seller cannot just say, you did the inspection, you asked me for this, I'm not doing it. First option then comes to the buyer and saying, okay, then I'm walking away. Buyer comes back and says, no, but I want this. Seller says, okay, forget it, I'm walking away. So first option starts with the buyer. Seller counters, and then seller can decide if the buyer doesn't accept. Now, everything we're talking about is standard.
Yes.
Your contract, the way it was agreed to between the two attorneys, eventually drives the transaction.
100%.
So whatever we tell you is a general, it's not standard. We are telling you general standard, but individual contracts have individual terms in them. So what was negotiated in the beginning between the buyer and the seller through their attorneys, that's what will drive the contract 100% of the time, not what we are telling you as a standard, because standard is standard. Specific is what's in that contract.
So, but
language.
how important is like a property condition?
Property condition is very important, but it depends on the price.
Yeah.
Let's say you bought a home that is 50,000 cheaper than the market value. Who cares about the property condition? It was sold 50,000 cheaper so that you can spend 50,000 in it. So property condition means nothing. It depends upon, there were a million offers on the home. Buyer said, I don't care about $50,000. Condition doesn't matter to me.
Right.
I'll take it. The home is a knockdown. The buyer says, I'm going to knock down the home anyhow. I don't care about the condition. So condition is important only when everything else is okay. And you're saying, hey, at this price that I gave you, I want the condition to be okay. But if it was bought under different circumstances, the condition doesn't matter.
Yeah. And everything in real estate it depends. So these are standards, but everything is it depends because it's a human interaction. We're talking about humans. We're not talking about a product necessarily. A home is a product, but the transaction is much more human based.
Yeah, your contract decides what's going on.
That's
and then
right.
the third one is?
The third is mortgage, right? If you're having a mortgage, if there is cash, and for some reason the proof of funds was not checked, and they don't have enough enough money to close, then it can, then the transaction can end.
There are legal issues at that point
Yes.
because they have already said we have the money. The buyer has made a statement that we have the money. Now they don't have the money, but that's not seller's problem. That is buyer's problem at the end. Why don't you have the money that you said you have? So legally, as much as it was checked, the buyer could have bought a new car in the meanwhile. That's not seller's problem. That is buyer's problem.
That's right.
So proof of funds was checked at signing the contract. But now they don't have the money. Or they decide that they don't want to buy the home and they say don't have the money. Not an out at all. If you said the deal is cash, then it was your obligation to present that cash in the transaction.
Absolutely. And if you have a mortgage, let's say you lost your job 2 days before closing. Let's say you're getting transferred 5 days before closing. All of these things can hamper you from getting a mortgage. That's the buyer's third out. So there's many times that the transaction can break, right? And you need a good realtor on your side to navigate that process because what is going to happen during that time and where you need to get the best end from whichever side you're on. Remember, Bhaiya said fiduciary duty. So things work different for us if we're representing from our seller. Our fiduciary duty is to our seller. If we're representing our buyer, our fiduciary duty is to our buyer. So we're going to look at their best interest and make sure that we can navigate the process that way.
No matter what you do, till the closing, nothing is guaranteed. I remember being at a closing 30 years ago in East Brunswick. My clients were in Jersey City. The closing was going to happen at their attorney's office in East Brunswick. So they packed everything in the truck from the apartment and they're on their way to the closing and the attorney calls and says, sorry, the seller has declared bankruptcy, we cannot close.
Wow.
So their stuff is in the truck. Apartment has been vacated. Notice has been given. They are on the way to the closing and they cannot close.
My God.
Only lucky thing in that case was they were able to call the apartment complex. They had not rented it yet. And they were able to go back into their apartment, which was a rare thing because many times apartment gets rented very quickly. So luckily they got that place. But closing is not guaranteed. So every time you know that there is a closing happening, know that the closing may not happen for many reasons. It could be death, it could be financial, it could be simple change of heart that turns into a lawsuit. Sometimes the buyers walk away, but sometimes the sellers walk away. Seller says, I'm not going to sell. Then the buyer has to sue the seller. So many things can go wrong in a transaction. Plan your move, but also know in back of your mind that all the planning will not be successful at times.
That's right.
Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. 95% of the closings don't happen right. We're talking about exceptions, not rules.
So are there any tips or anything for buyers or sellers you have?
No, the tips are starting right from the beginning and crossing
Manage the process.
crossing the T's and dotting the I's throughout the transaction. But things often go wrong when you didn't expect them to go wrong.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the buyer gets an in to walk away, or the seller gets an in to walk away. And they were already waiting for something to happen and they get it and they walk away. And the other party now has to start all over again. So do the transactions close all the time? No, not really. For many reasons. Sometimes they'll fall right in the beginning. Sometimes they fall way late in the game. Like Alka was saying, there's a funnel. Funnel has holes in it. Which hole will the transaction fall apart from? Right in the beginning or way in the end? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and there's a saying, right? It's not over till the fat lady sings. And literally until the closing, until it's over and you get the keys, it's not over. Things can change. So we always say to our clients when they get a home is preliminary congratulations, because congratulations are only at the time of closing.
Right. And before we go to the next topic, Pia, important thing also is never close on a home without insurance on the home.
Yes.
Right.
Always have insurance, because God forbid things go wrong. They will go wrong, and you were caught without insurance, and sometimes they go wrong when there is no insurance.
That's right.
So always have
Murphy's Law.
insurance. Now, your mortgage company will not let you close without insurance in most cases. However, let's say you're buying the home cash and your attorney forgot to ask you about the insurance and your agent didn't talk to you about the insurance, and now you don't have an insurance and you walk into the home and there is a fire in the night. So
Or you forget about it, and 30 days later there's a fire, but you didn't remember
right.
doing it. So,
So-
these things are so important.
Right. So make sure the insurance is there.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about the properties. Any home listings you have for today?
So we don't have a home, but we listed a commercial property. It's right on Route 27 in Islin. There are two small office buildings. Excellent visible location, right near Garden State Parkway. The property, the price is $700,000. The address is 223 and 227 Lincoln Highway. Again, they are both small office buildings. The zoning would probably allow, and again, every buyer should check the zoning independently, but it should allow retail there too, which means you'll have to knock the buildings down and make the value in the land. There is enough parking if you want your office. Let's say you wanted your office in one. Right now, there's an attorney in that office, one office, and one is vacant. You wanted your office in one and rent out the other. Perfect way to not to become a landlord and to have a tenant who is taking care of your expenses also. So that property again is on Route 27. It's a commercial property. We also have a property in Piscataway. It's a property that is a small office condo, 1,000 square feet office plus 1,000 square foot basement, and that is priced very reasonably at $239. So that is available also. So I think that's the two properties that we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Okay. The Mandi property is still there, or is that gone?
that's gone.
So the property we talked about last week is
Has
offer
accepted an
accepted
offer.
at this
Yes.
point.
So, Sanjeev ji, I had a question from one of our viewers, and they wanted to know that they have a rental property and they want to sell it, but they have a bad tenant who doesn't want to move out. So, what should they do?
So we want to take our problem and make it somebody else's problem. Nothing wrong with that. Only thing is, if somebody is going to take our problem, they want that problem and a discount for it. So let's say the property is worth $300,000, and now the tenant is paying the rent, but it's a bad tenant, which means he or she doesn't pay the rent in time. He or she creates problems. He or she even does drugs sometimes in there. Neighbors are complaining. The dog is, God knows what the problem tenant is. We don't know, right? So when you say problem tenant, we don't know exactly what the problem is. However, this new person now has to inherit that problem. And to inherit that problem, I want a discount. So this $300,000 property may have to be sold at $250,000 to take this tenant. Not a great thing if you're the owner of the property. You're discounting the property because you're giving your headache to somebody. Now maybe the headache is so big that you're saying, I don't care about $50,000. Take my headache and I'm out of here. But the other better option, if it can be done, is evict the tenant for the reasons he or she is a problem. Let's say they don't pay the rent in time. Then you go to take them to the court, and say you got to move, and many of these tenants will then bring the rent and late penalty, and you're stuck with them. So this process is not easy, but we don't know from the question, how is this tenant a problem tenant? See, if the tenant is doing drugs, it's easy to evict. If the tenant's dog is barking, there's not much you can do about it. That's a problem tenant for the neighbors, but landlord doesn't care really. Now, so a lot of things will depend upon, can the court look at it and saying you got to get out of here? Or the court says, well, you paid the money, you can stay in there.
Yeah, it depends. There's so many factors that can be in there that there's the onion has to be peeled a lot before we can answer that question. It seems very simple,
Right.
but it's not. And that's why we do a consultation when someone comes up with that, because there's so many questions that need to be answered. Sitting here with that, it's hard.
Right. So, but we'll give you few tips anyhow, since it has been asked. First, talk to the tenant and see if you can buy the tenant out. Buy out means see if you can evict the tenant. Tell him, listen, I'll give you 2 months rent free. 2 months money worth of rent free. So let's say your rent is $2,000. I'll give you $4,000. Please leave today. The tenant may say, you know what? Great. I'll go and milk somebody else. I'm leaving you alone. All of a sudden, that $4,000 investment became $50,000 worth it. Because now you can sell your home for $300 instead of $250. So try that. If it doesn't work, if eviction was a possibility, because he or she doesn't have the money to pay you, then they will be evicted, most likely. Unless the landlord he gives a reason, this landlord didn't fix my heat, didn't do this, then there may be different problems. So do that. Third is, you say, I don't want this headache anymore. I don't care about 50,000. I'm out of here. So like Alka said, many options. Talk to us, talk to your realtor, and see what the options are. Talk to the attorney, because there's a legal matter here now. So talk to the attorney and see what a good eviction attorney tells you to do.
But more than that, know that when you are going to buy an investment property, these are the chances that you have to be ready for. So how do you prep against that? And this is one of the funnels, right? This is how investment property goes bad. You're always taking a chance in buying the property. The more homework you do, and the better you do your rent selection or the tenant selection, the better it'll be that you can plug in that hole of deficiency. Can it happen? Yes. But will it happen as frequently? Not if things are done well.
Sanjeev ji, I saw basically you had put some post on social media about self-limiting beliefs, important steps towards success. So I just want you to elaborate on that today.
So our mind is the most powerful thing we have. This mind can make us sick, and this mind can make us healthy any minute it wants to. This mind, if all of a sudden you are so sick and somebody comes and saying, hey, your child had an accident and you couldn't get out of bed because you were so sick, and somebody tells you your child had an accident and they are being taken to the hospital, you will quickly, this mind will say, get up and go. This mind is a healer also. So self-limiting beliefs are, I can't do this, I'll do this later, I'll do blah, blah. Self-limiting is excuses. This mind will give you all the excuses in the world. But this same mind will give you all the reasons to do things positively. So whenever that self-limiting belief comes, I cannot lose weight, that is a self-limiting belief. I cannot run. That's a self-limiting belief, unless your back spine is really bad. See, some things are not self-limiting beliefs. But then what is the second option? But if you keep on telling this mind, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, you're really sick. I cannot give up smoking. What a horrible self-limiting belief it is. Because as people who have given up smoking, they love the fact that they've given up the smoking. So our success and failure is based on this mind because of these self-limiting beliefs. So anytime somebody tells you you cannot do it, tell them, let me show you I can. The word, actually in our book, there is a chapter called Remove the T out of can't. See, C-A-N-T is can't. I cannot do it. But if you remove the T, what is left? Can. C-A-N-T can't, C-A-N can. Remove the T out of there and you have can. Just remove that one word, and T is that mindset. T is that thing that you say, okay, you know what, that thought. that you say, okay, that thought is out of air. I can't do it. At least I can try my very best. Try is even a wrong word. I will do my very best. See, try is not the great word either. I will do my very best, and then whatever happens, I leave it to God for it.
That's right.
And I would like to thank you for today. It was like great listening to you, of course, and to you too. And once again, wishing you a belated happy birthday, and
Thank
keep
you.
enjoying for the rest of the month.
Thank you.
And isn't Pia looking very pretty today?
Very pretty today.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very nice.
It's just the festive season.
Yes,
so I just wanna,
yes. And you're dressed
spread
white.
that positivity
Yes,
with colors.
yes. The
Good.
cheer.
So anyway, we'll be back next week, same day, same time.
Thank you.
Till then, thank you so much and take good care of yourself.
You too.
Thank you.